Well, hello, everyone. My name is Georges De Bourguignon. I am a Columbia Business School alumni. And on behalf of the Columbia Global Center of Santiago and the Columbia Business School Alumni Club of Chile, we want to welcome everyone to the webinar From the End of the World to the Forefront of Innovation. We are very excited to have this conversation with Denisse, Clara, and Juan Luis, all renowned leaders in the business community, taking the lead investing in Magallanes, an extreme southern region of Chile. Chile has a huge challenge in decentralizing its economy, and to this regard, the new economy provides an enormous opportunity for Magallanes and Chile. Opportunities like renewable energies and big data are some of the projects that are transforming Patagonia and driving innovation from this end of the world to the rest of the globe. So in this opportunity, we have Denissa Abudinene, who is Chief Executive of ENAP and former Chief Executive of Exploration and Production Business at the state-owned oil company ENAP. With more than 13 years of international experience in energy, oil and gas, and renewable industry, she has been responsible for leading ENAP's exploration and production business with operating fields in southern Chile, together with Cipetrol's exploration and production assets in Argentina, Ecuador, and Egypt. She has also worked at McKinsey & Company in Mexico and has a Master in International Management from King's College London in the UK, and a degree of Civil Industrial Engineering from Universidad Católica. Denisse will be sharing the story of ENAP, the long ties investing in Magallanes, and how they have enabled private investment in the region. Then we also have Clara Bowman, who is Director at High Innovative Fuels, HIF, an international led by conglomerate in-house associate Enel Green Power, Siemens Energy and Porsche, which is developing a pilot project that will produce green hydrogen and other carbon neutral e-fuels in Chile and internationally. She is also the general manager of AME, an independent power producer based in Santiago, which has a joint venture vehicle with Electricide de France. To the in 2019, I was shown in Capital's magazine, Chilean Female Executive of the Year. For Chile, in 2010, she worked at Hills, an Australian law firm. Clara will be talking about HIF e-fuel project and why they have decided to do this and the global impact. And finally, Juan Luis Contreras is managing partner at Patagon Valley Technology of Enel, one of the largest steel groups in Chile. Previously worked as a consultant at Minova Ground Support, a company belonging to the Orica Group, a leader in underground mining fortification. Do you guys hear me well?
You were cutting off a little bit there, George, but we can hear you now. Okay.
Okay, sorry about that. So I'll continue. Juan Luis has an MBA from Universidad Adolfo Ibáñez, as well as postgraduate studies in strategy and corporate leadership from Columbia Business School, and in management and M&A from the Stanford University Graduate School of Business. Juan Luis will be talking about new potentialities Magallanes has to offer to global players, connecting Magallanes and Chile to the world. So without further ado, I'll leave you now with Denisse.
Hi, good afternoon. I would like to share with you a small presentation in order to let you know how is the potential of green hydrogen and the renewable energies in Magallanes. I'm working in ENAP. ENAP is the national oil and gas company from Chile. We have three refineries. Both of them are located in the central part of Chile, one in the southern part of Chile, Magallanes. We also have a business we also have business abroad in Argentina and Egypt. And we have developed and started our business as an app in Magallanes, Chile in 1945. We have 3,300 workers in our company. Well, probably most of you will be wondering where is Magallanes, what we have in Magallanes. Well, Magallanes is the southern city of Chile. Is 132 square kilometers. The population is 180,000 people. Then it's not a very big city, but at the same time, it's not very, very small. We have one of the best universities of the country, that is the Magallanes University, where you can find plenty of option of career. And the economy is based mainly in 4 activities. The livestock, where we have a very important pole that is associated with sheep and cattle farming. Fishing, we are the main exporter of the king crab. Also energy, in addition to ENAP, we have another oil and gas companies in the city as Geopark, YPF. And also we have the one of the biggest methanol companies in the world, that is Methanex. And of course, the other main focus of the city is the tourists. Probably you have listened about the Paine National Park. Then it's a city that you can find different things, and it's started to grow very fast. And it's one of the cities that has the higher GDP compared to the rest of the cities of the country. Now, what we do in Magallanes, we have been there from 1945. Our main role now is supply the residential and industrial gas in the Magallanes region. For that, we have developed the unconventional gas, the tight gas. We have 3,000 kilometers of pipelines and more than 3,300 wells that we have drilled there. We have 1,000 workers and 2,000 contractors. Then ENAP is the key player in the city. Also, we are spread in most of the area. Then we have a very important logistic access in addition to the pipelines. One of the projects that we have been developing, because in addition to this, all these non-renewable energies, that means the oil and gas, the conventional ones, we have developed also the unconventional. We have been pushing that, where we have been seeing that there is huge potential in the area. And one of the projects that we have successfully developed is the Vientos Patagonicos wind farm project. The main objective is because Magallanes has a wind potential of 126 gigawatts. This is equivalent to 5 times the whole installed capacity of the country. We have one of the best plant factors. The average is over 50%. It could even reach 70%. This wind farm has a capacity of 10 megawatts by 3 wind turbines. And these are connected to the main city. We are partnered with Pecket Energy. And based on that, we could deliver energy to 15 homes. And it's allowed us to increase the renewable energy in the city from 3% to 18%. And of course, there is a huge capacity in the region for developing the wind projects. And you will see that with Juan Luis, and also we will talk about this other project with Clara. Why Chile? Why Chile is attractive for these renewable energies? Well, we have plenty of options. For the north of Chile, we have a capacity factor of 80% related to the concentrating solar collectors. We also have 879 gigawatt of potential capacity for solar PV with a capacity between 30 to 35%. And related to wind, we are talking about 295 with a capacity between 50, even 70. And also we have the hydro
I think we just had an interruption in communication. Denisse, are you with us? Yes.
Yes.
There we are. Excellent. Okay.
Go ahead. From what part are you?
No. It was less than 20 seconds. So.
Okay. Thank you very much. Well, yes, I was mentioning that we have plenty of potential in Chile from different sources of renewable energies that make us a very attractive country for developing the wind projects or solar projects. And of course, that are the base for developing the green hydrogen. I think I have problem to move in the slide, George. I don't know, you could help me. You have the presentation also.
Chris, who is presenting? Is it you, Denisse, or?
No, it's me, Chris? Just in case you have also the. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Well, yes. Well, based on that, based on this capacity, Chile has developed a green hydrogen strategy, where the main focus is for 2025. We could be the top one for green hydrogen invested in Latin America with $5 billion. Also, we could have a production of 200,000 tons by year in at least 2 green hydrogen poles in Chile. The main ones are mainly in the south of Chile. And the idea is these goals could increase for 2030, where we could increase the investment for 2.4 billion per year. And also we have one of the most competitive costs in the world that is lower than 1.5. Then based on all this strategy, the government have been pushing in order to attract investment in the country. And then the question is, why Magallanes? Well, as I mentioned before, we have a very wind energy potential in Magallanes, and we're talking about 126 gigawatts. This is 5 times the total installed capacity in the country. That means we could generate 552 million megawatt hour per year. That is 7 times the total energy generated in the country. And if we move that to the green hydrogen potential, we are talking that we could produce 11 million tons per year. That is 37 times the Japan's demand that we estimate by 2030, 39% of Europe demand by 2030, and also 9% of the world demand. Then we are talking that we have a very huge potential in the city. And then why ENAP? Why ENAP is part of this, because of course you will be wondering why ENAP, if ENAP has been all his path based on the oil and gas and no renewable. But we have been developing renewable projects. Also, we are part of the geothermal projects in the north of Chile. Then because we are a state company, we have been part of the government in order to push this new investment, this new kind of energies, like geothermal projects, LNG, the regasification projects, and also the wind project that I already mentioned to you. Also in Magallanes, we have a very large installed infrastructure capacity that it will help a lot in order to develop any project. We have a very strategic position in the region. And we have the access to the docks in the Strait of Magallanes that it helps in order to develop all the logistics. Then for us, it's very important to be part of this development. We are sure, based on the Chilean strategy, the green hydrogen, the windy projects will have a huge development. And Magallanes is a very important area to be part of that development with all the capacity and potential that it has. Thanks very much, George.
Okay, thank you, Denisse. So now we will go to the presentation of Clara Bowman. Clara, you might be on mute. Yes, there you go.
Just having trouble getting onto slideshow. There we go. Everyone can see that okay?
Excellent. Yeah, it looks great.
Great, fantastic. Thank you. Well, thank you everyone for the invitation to be here today. It's exciting to be talking about the things that we're doing in Magallanes. And we think that Magallanes is going to be a very important touchstone for these sorts of developments in the future. And people around the world are increasingly going to be looking to Magallanes as a referential place of how to do these things well. So I'm not going to spend too much time on why Magallanes, because I think that Denisse went through that very well. We've got fantastic resources in Magallanes that mean that we can be extremely competitive in everything that's to do with the production of renewable energy and hydrogen. I wanted to share a little bit about what we're doing in Magallanes. A lot of people talk about green hydrogen, and there's a huge place for green hydrogen as you look to be incorporated as an energy source around the world in cities. We think, at least the view of our company, is that there are some challenges with transporting hydrogen as hydrogen when you're talking about it as an export commodity. There are challenges when you talk about getting it down to the levels that you need to be able to store it and ship it. And so we started looking as a company at things that you could do to take that hydrogen molecule and convert it into something else. And that something else could then be shipped and used in existing logistics chains and would have an existing market. And so what we are focusing on with our initial projects in the Magallanes region is what we call e-fuels. And there may be people who know a lot about this, but there may be people who haven't actually heard of e-fuels before. So I'll just take a minute to go through what that means. E-fuels basically take the renewable energy and water to create green hydrogen. So up to there, I think probably most people are now familiar with that process, using a process called electrolysis. And what happens in the next stage is that you combine that green hydrogen with carbon dioxide in a methanol reactor. And that's kind of like a standard methanol reactor that's used today to make methanol from natural gas or from coal. We do the same process, but we do it with the hydrogen that's taken from the renewable energy and CO2 that's captured either from an industrial source or from the atmosphere. Then when you have the methanol on the other side, there's another process, which is again, a very well-developed process that's been commercial now for decades. There was a very big plant operating in New Zealand in the 80s and 90s, doing this with, again, fossil methanol, but our methanol is the same as the fossil methanol. And you take the methanol and you turn it into gasoline. And that gasoline is a gasoline that you or I or anyone else who has an internal combustion car today would be able to go to a petrol station and fill up their tank with this kind of renewable gasoline, which ultimately is a carbon neutral fuel, because the same carbon dioxide that you're releasing into the atmosphere when you drive your car is the carbon dioxide that we've either taken from the atmosphere or stopped going into the atmosphere back in this stage here. And so what are some of the advantages of e-fuels for the different sectors that we're looking at? In the road transport sector, there's a huge push towards electrification. We also completely believe in electrification. We think that more and more cars will be going electric, but there are some challenges in terms of how fast that's going to be adopted. There was recently a New York Times article that came out that said in the United States, even with very aggressive electrification targets, more than 50% of the cars on the road in 2050 are still going to be internal combustion cars. And the way that we look at climate change is that we have a very short period of time to make a drastic change if we're going to be able to limit global warming. And we don't think that we've got time to wait for everything to transition across to full electrification. The beauty of this, the process that we have, the e-fuels process, it's kind of an indirect electrification. What we're doing is we're taking the best renewable energy from around the world, we're packaging it into a form that can be transported easily and then can be used in existing logistics chains and using existing cars. So while we see that the pace towards electrification will happen and hopefully will happen quickly, our fuel will be a complement to that and will hopefully help in decarbonising the transport sectors faster and providing a solution for those internal combustion cars which are still on the road as we move forward over the next few decades. The other area where e-fuels are really interesting is in shipping. So shipping today, electrification is not an option. Hydrogen also has some challenges because of the low energy density. And so there's two main fuels that they're looking at as kind of fuels for the future to be able to power international shipping, and that's methanol and ammonia. We think that both are probably good alternatives. In our particular case, we like ammonia because we think it's a little bit easier to handle. It's a little bit easier to incorporate into existing motors. And when we're talking about storing it in ports and places like that, it has some advantages. And so there are increasing companies coming out supporting either ammonia or methanol as a shipping fuel for the future. And Maersk, for example, the shipping line came out saying that they're going to have their first methanol carbon neutral ship operating in 2023, which is very exciting. On the aviation side, we feel that there's not really a clear path towards being able to electrify aviation or have hydrogen running on aviation. And again, the same way that you get this kind of technological lag that we see with our cars, that's even stronger with a plane, because to get to kind of the rollover on the plane stock is going to take quite some time. And so it's very urgent to find carbon reduced or carbon neutral solutions for aviation fuel so we can start decarbonizing the aviation sector using the planes that exist today. So the e-fuel process, not the same process that we're working on, but a similar sort of catalytic process, can produce e-jet fuel, which can then be incorporated into planes. And so we think that if we're going to move towards the mass decarbonization of the aviation sector, e-fuels are going to play a very important part. And then finally, there's the petrochemical industry. So the petrochemical industry today operates on petroleum. It's part of its name. And so we're going to need to find a solution for that if we're going to decarbonize the petroleum industry of tomorrow. And so we think the e-fuels are a huge part of that. For example, most plastics that are made today are made either from methanol to olefin processes or naphtha to olefin processes. In our case, the methanol that we produce could be made to make olefins, which can then be turned into all the different kind of petrochemical compounds that we use in plastics and fashion and other uses that we have today for those sorts of products. So if we look at the global oil economy, we're talking about a $5.9 trillion economy that, if we're serious about getting to net zero, is going to have to completely transform itself over the next years to 2050. That's going to mean a very big chunk of electrification. And we also think, and on our side, a very big chunk of what we'd call this indirect electrification, which is finding where the best sources of renewable energy are, packaging them up, and being able to get them operating in our economies and in our machines as quickly as possible, so we can start the process to accelerating the decarbonization. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the pilot plant that we are building at the moment in Patagonia. This is a demonstration plant, so it's a small scale plant, but what we're looking to do is to be able to show really how all of the different parts of the technology that we have here that I showed on the earlier slide work together. So we have, I'll just go quickly to the next slide. We've got a wind turbine. We've got the electrolyzer coming from Siemens Energy. We've got a direct air capture unit capturing carbon dioxide directly from the air using global thermostat technology. We've got Johnson Matthey methanol reactor, and then using technology for ExxonMobil and with the help of Sinopec to be able to build the methanol to gasoline technology. So we're talking really about companies from all over the world that are coming together to build this demonstration plant in Patagonia and to show the world basically how we can move forward with this e-fuels future. So the partners that we have, or the team that we have together in this project, Porsche, the automotive company, is working as an off-taker of the final product. Enel, we've been working for a number of years now with Enel as a partner in the electrical side and in the hydrogen side. Siemens is the technological integrator. They're coming together and bringing the technical solution of making sure that all the different elements fit together. And of course, we have Denissa's company, ENAP, who are also contributing with the overall operation of the project. So a really strong team, and we're very excited about having the plant coming into operation next year. We also secured some funding from the German government, around $10 million worth of funding, looking to see kind of support these sorts of initiatives and seeing how this technology can be proven and then hopefully scaled up to commercial phase as soon as possible. So here's another couple of photos of the pilot plant, and I'll leave it there. Thanks, George.
Excellent. Thank you, Clara. That was great. And I'm dying to ask you many questions, but I'm going to leave them for right after Juan Luis gives his presentation. And I just want to remind everyone that if you're already being curious and have a couple of questions, you can post them on the chat, and we will be doing a Q&A right after Juan Luis' presentation. So Juan Luis, go ahead, please.
Okay, George. I'm going to share my screen, so you tell me if everything is okay. Can you see it in a full screen?
Yes, full screen. Excellent.
Okay, great. So thank you very much, first of all, to Columbia University, especially to you, Karen, for giving me this opportunity. So our project is called Patagon Valley. Here we can see a beautiful picture of the area where we're located. On the right side, we see ENAP. On the center, we see the brand new wind park, what Denisse just told us about, Vientos Patagonicos. On the back, we can see the Magellan Strait, and on the left side of the picture is currently where our park is being developed. So what is Patagon Valley? We're developing the first technology and energy park in Latin America. Now I'm going to walk you through this presentation, showing you the key attributes or drivers that are availing us to develop this project in Cabo Negro. On the left side, you can see a beautiful picture of the Chilean Patagonia and the Magellan Strait, that is a natural connection between the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. So first, we just heard about, and we have incredible renewable energy conditions, one of the best in the world. Chile has been known the last years because of their solar power, because of the great solar radiation we have in the north. But the quality of our wind in the south is so good as our solar radiation in the north. The thing is that the solar power has been developed because of the transmission lines. Is cheaper to do it from the north to Santiago than from here. But the wind is incredible. And we have direct connection. We are neighbors of ENAP. We have direct connection to the brand new Vientos Patagonicos park. And there's a lot of other projects being developed in the area. So our park is going to be powered 100% with wind energy. And not only wind energy, we also know, we're hearing now about green hydrogen. We're going to be a global power. The largest projects and most important projects are in the area of Cabo Negro. We're neighbors of HIF. We're neighbors of ENAP, and we're only 5 minutes away from HIF. And two things. First, we have incredible conditions for the development of more new projects of green hydrogen in Patagon Valley, our park, and also other companies that want to use domestic green hydrogen or derivatives in our park are going to be able to use them in the midterm. We estimate 2 to 3 more years you're going to be able to have local green hydrogen for our park. And in our park, we're also developing a port. It's a green port. What is a green port? It's a state-of-the-art port that uses 100% renewable energy, and that it has the best technology available in the world. Here on the left side, you can see a picture of the Rotterdam port that is on. They just made a partnership with IBM, and they're using this state-of-the-art technology with sensors that can give you online the levels of the tides, the currents, the salinity of the water, can give you climate predictions, astronomical calculations, among others. So what is the good thing about the green port? That it protects the marine flora and fauna at the maximum levels, and also at the same time, it gives the best working conditions, because most of the accidents occurred on ports are when we have bad weather. So we're developing this port, and also it's going to be a shared infrastructure. So in this port, we're going to be able to export energy from our park, and also all the projects that are outside our park. So it will be shared to everyone in Cabo Negro to import and export energy. And going after energy, we go into technology. So on 2019, just 2 years ago, Huawei Marine Networks, in a partnership with a local company named CTR, they connected Chile with a brand new fiber optic cable named Fibra Óptica Austral. And it's the best quality of fiber optic cables in the world. And that allows us to start with the implementation of the 5G in this area. And we have a direct connection to this brand new fiber optic cable. So this said, we have incredible conditions for the development of data centers in our park and in Cabo Negro. For those of you who don't know, what is a data center? When you speak about internet, when you speak about the cloud, you say I have everything in my Dropbox, in my email, everything is stored in a data center. So it's a key factor to the development of our economy, our society, and our governments and everything. So data centers, the bad thing they have is they use a lot of energy. So in our park, you have the best conditions in the world because they can have 100% renewable energy. They can have wind as their main power, and as a backup power, they can use green hydrogen. There's not only this connection of the fiber optic cable with Chile, but also there's a fiber optic cable from Punta Arenas to go to Argentina. So then you can have redundancy of your data center with Argentina and Brazil. And data centers, they use a lot of power because imagine it's like a humongous computer. So you have to power it and you also have to cool it. Like when we use our domestic devices, your cell phone, your computer, when it's been turned on for a long time, it starts getting warm. So you have to cool it. So this place has incredible conditions for that because we're in the Chilean Patagonia. It's a very cold place. And we only have an average temperature of 6 degrees Celsius throughout the year. So that gives us the condition of the free cooling. So it's a lot cheaper to cool a data center here in the Patagonia compared to anywhere else in the world. And here on the left side, I show you a picture of Switch. This is a North American company, one of the best companies in data centers in the world. And they just developed the first tier 5 data center in the world. This is like the best, the state of the art what we have in data centers. What is the difference between a tier 5 and a tier 4? Well, it has better security, better resiliency, redundancy, but mainly it has 100% renewable energy to power it. So we can access to have tier 5 data centers in Cabo Negro in the short term. And not only we have technology and energy, there's also a lot going on in Cabo Negro and Punta Arenas. Chile is the second largest salmon exporter in the world after Norway, and most of this industry is concentrated in Punta Arenas. It also has tourism throughout all the year. Punta Arenas is the main gate to the Torres del Paine. We have a lot of public investment going on. Currently now, it's about to start the construction of the brand new airport. It's going to have international standards so it can receive flights from all around the world. And there's a lot of also industrial developments. Here, I just give an example on the right side of one of the largest cement companies in Chile, Cementos Melon. And they're now, in this moment, developing a $45 million new plant here in Cabo Negro. And here, what I say, I call the cherry on top. So when you receive this invitation, you ask yourself, why is Amazon and SpaceX installing their projects in Cabo Negro? Amazon is with us, we sold the land to them, and SpaceX is only 2 minutes away. So they're practically in the same position. And it's funny because they're not only 2 large tech companies, but they're also the 2 richest men on earth. Jeff Bezos of Amazon, and we have Elon Musk in SpaceX and Tesla. So what's happening? They're competing right now. They're competing in this technology revolution. And what are they competing on? They're launching satellites to the LEO orbit. The LEO orbit is the closest orbit to Earth. It goes from 500 kilometers from the face of the Earth up to 1,500 kilometers. And they send the satellites that they orbit Earth at 27,000 kilometers per hour. So 27,000 kilometers per hour, for those of you who don't know, can imagine the speed. It's 30 times faster the speed of a commercial plane. So they go really, really fast. And these satellites are going to give you this incredible high-speed internet anywhere in the world. You're just going to be able to put in any place a small antenna. The Amazon antenna has only 30 centimeter diameter. It's about this size. And you're going to have this incredible internet. So why are they located in Cabo Negro? Because all the satellites that orbit Earth, they need these brains to control them, to manage them, to upload information and download information. This infrastructure that is the brain of all this ecosystem is called ground stations, satellite ground stations. What are they? They are this technology platform where they have antennas, we have the best hardware and software in the world. They have a backup with a data center also, and they can manage them. So what has Cabo Negro? Cabo Negro has one of the best space connections in the world. That's why in only 4 or 5 months, we heard that SpaceX, Amazon, also we have the Swedish Space Corporation and other humongous companies are installing there because the space connection, especially to this LEO orbit, is one of the best in the world. And not only energy and technology, but also people say, hey, when we started this project, why are you investing so far in Punta Arenas? So the government helps all types of projects here with unique tax incentives. So I'm just going to show you some of them. First, it's a free trade zone. What does it mean that it's a free trade zone? We're exempt from the VAT tax for all the foreign trading that we do, and we almost have no duties. So if you develop a large project in CapEx, you have a big upside because you don't have the VAT tax, not the duty payments. And other incentives, for example, the Austral law, it gives you a credit on your future income taxes to be paid starting from 32% on all the CapEx you invest in Cabo Negro or Punta Arenas. By CapEx, I mean infrastructure, construction, hardware, software, machines, trucks, everything you invest, you're starting from a 32% payback on your future income taxes that you can use it for your current project there in Punta Arenas. But also if it's a company that has other locations in Chile, you can use it also as a tax shield for the rest of the projects. And other small things, for example, there's a bonus for hiring local labor. If you hire people and with a contract and you pay them at least 20% of the minimum wage in Chile, you can have a 17% bonus on the Treasury website in only 5 business days. So all this said, just so you imagine this, if you make a $15 million investment in Cabo Negro or in our park, for example, on CapEx, compared to the same investment, let's say a data center in Santiago, with all these tax incentives, you have a 40% difference. You have a 40% savings just because of these tax incentives. So thank you so much for your time. And I want to encourage people, as George just said, we're an extremely centralized country, not only economically, also socially and politically. So I encourage you all to invest in not only in technology and energy, but in everything in the extreme zones of Chile. Thank you so much for your time.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Juan Luis, and thank you for the 3 presentations that we have heard. Really, really interesting. I don't want to take control over the mic, so I will just put out there one question for the 3 of you that relates very much with the title of this event, and hopefully after that we will have some questions. I see that some are already coming into the chat. So I guess my question would be for Denisse. Denisse, ENAP has been in Magallanes for quite some time, but then for Juan Luis and Clara, your projects are quote unquote new in the region. But I would love to hear from the 3 of you, what lessons have you gained from your operations in Magallanes? What sort of things you think that your operations in Magallanes are already driving innovation or presenting new ways of doing things that are an example not only to Chile but maybe to the rest of the world?
Do you want me to start?
Yeah, Denisse,
Okay.
Go ahead. Excellent.
Well, I will give you my overall appreciation about that. What I can share with you is, well, during all this year, we have learned that Magallanes community is very important. When you are there, the community are very important because Magallanes is like it's like a very, very small country. Even they have their own flag, then they have their own identity. Then for that reason, I think the community is important. And also we have learned during this year that not just with the oil and gas project, with these new projects, new technology, they are very proud of that. Then I think we need to integrate them. And also, of course, the worker there have to work very hard because the weather, the windy is very, very, very hard in the area. Then I think you have to learn how to work in that conditions. But I think it's a region that is trying to grow and show to the world the potential that it has. Then if you mix the community, the workers' availability that can work in that condition, I think you can make it.
I'll go next if you'd like. I think that what's really exciting, you know, we announced our project last year, but we've been working on the project since 2014. So we've had people going to Magallanes since 2015 and getting to know all of the people there, forming relationships. You know, that's a huge part of what we do as a company. It's very important for us to feel like we are getting to know the community where we are. But I would say that what we've noticed changing, I think, over the last year to 18 months has been this tremendous excitement about the potential that Magallanes has to be a real world leader in moving towards this new economy of the 21st century. And I don't think that's something that's limited to Magallanes. I feel like over the past year, I don't know whether it's with what's happened with COVID, I feel like the whole world has woken up and said, wow, we have this tremendous challenge, which is climate change. We've just run out of time to be procrastinating. We need to get moving now, and we need to start doing concrete things to make sure that we're decarbonizing the world in time that's going to keep things more or less normal for our grandchildren. And I think that kind of worldwide phenomenon is felt very strongly in Magallanes. And I think people are excited about having this kind of ecosystem, just like Juan Luis was saying. You know, we have data centers, we have energy, we're doing kind of new clean fuels, we have energy production. We can have all sorts of industry that gets installed there. We have the University of Magallanes, which is a very strong university. We can have new careers. It can really be an exciting time of transformation and very sustainable and clean growth for the region. And I think that we're feeling that, and it's exciting for us to be a part of this larger movement that we're feeling in Magallanes towards being, you know, this really exciting place that the world looks to say how can we decarbonize.
Thank you. Juan Luis?
So to your question, George, I think that what's going on now in Cabo Negro, in Magallanes, is very important. I'm an optimistic man, and I think that Chile is a blessed country. And the last years, I think since 2019, we have all lost a lot the confidence in our country. So I think this is a very important thing what's going on now in Punta Arenas, that with all these large companies like Amazon and SpaceX and Porsche, the German government and everything what's going on is helping us as a country to believe in ourselves again. To your question, why is this happening? Because incredible things have happened. So green hydrogen is like the sexy theme today in the world. And we have, McKinsey says that we have one of the best conditions in the world to develop it. Not only because of the cheap wind power that we have and the tax incentives, also our project and the HIF project and ENAP, we're neighbors. We all have direct coastline to the Magellan Strait. So it's a strategic point to export energy to Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. And also happens something that we didn't know it, that we have an incredible space connection. So we always think what we have underneath the land like oil or copper in Chile, but over in the sky in Cabo Negro, we have an incredible space connection, and this is just starting.
Excellent, thank you. So we're receiving a couple of questions regarding local businesses and being able to provide services in Punta Arenas. How the three of you have seen that? Is that a challenge? Is it possible to find the required labor supply with the skills that you need, or is that something that you've been able to, or that you have to import into Magallanes somehow?
Well, I'll start. You know, we have quite a small operation that still we're building the demonstration plant, so it's not a large scale operation. But you know, we're already finding people who are qualified in Magallanes who can form part of the team. I think Magallanes is a place that has a long history because of ENAP, you know, and Methanex, of having people who work in the oil and gas industries. So there's very strong engineers. There are people who certainly have the skills that we need to be able to grow. You know, that said, we're talking about, you know, if all of the ideas that we have bubbling at the moment happen, there will need to be a lot of people coming in. And so, you know, one of the things that we're looking at is working with the University of Magallanes to make sure that we're training the sorts of professionals that we need for these new industries, and collaborating with that to make sure that the young people who are coming through the university can transition into careers in these new industries. And I think that that's going to be a really important part. These are long-term projects. They're projects that take years to develop, years to build, years to operate. So we have time to be able to really make a difference in making sure that the training is there, so the people who are going through the university have an opportunity to come out and work in these new industries.
Well, I guess, yeah, go ahead.
So to your question, I think it's a little bit of both things. So first, we have incredible people there. As Clara said, Magallanes University is an incredible university, really good. And at the same time, with the pandemic, I think the mindset of all of us has changed a lot. So Punta Arenas is a beautiful place. It has an incredible quality of life. So lots of people from around the world on Clara's project and our project, and from Chile also, are willing to go to live to Punta Arenas with this change in our mindset. So I think we're gonna have an incredible workforce in Punta Arenas. We're having it now, and the next 10 years going to be even stronger. Because of these large companies like SpaceX and Amazon are going there, they're also trying to send and to prepare local people from Chile to go to live to Punta Arenas.
Denisse, do you want to add something, or should I jump into the other question?
I think both of them clarify very well the point. Just to add that I have noticed that for young professionals that they're starting their families, Magallanes is an excellent place because the quality of life that you could have, very different from, for example, Santiago or a big city. You can enjoy with your kids, with the family. I think when we cannot find the professional there, even most of the professionals are trying to stay in Magallanes for working, and you can find good professionals. You can import some of them, and they really like to live there, young professional, and we need also young people that want to be motivated to work in the region. Then it has not been a challenge even for us to find the professional when we need it.
Yeah, excellent. So it definitely looks like it's turning into a really interesting ecosystem. Juan Luis, there's a question here regarding the green port infrastructure you were mentioning. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that? Who is developing this project? What's the status of the project?
Okay, so our project, Patagon Valley, our technology and energy park, we just started about a year ago. We have today currently 4 clients. And our strategy is that we know about this technology boom that is coming. So we want all of our 100-hectare project to have the possibility to can export energy through the green port. we're analyzing right now. We have some offers on the table from local companies, from international companies, to develop a space kind of joint venture for the port. But we think it's going to be going on in about 3 to 4 more years. It's going to be ready.
Excellent. And Clara, there's another question for you. How replicable do you think is the model where the off-taker, Porsche, can engage in sharing part of the development risk and the project's equity? Do you think this can be replicable in other niches? Or said in other words, why do you think Porsche is so interested in the development in this particular project? And is it very unique, or is it replicable in other areas?
Well, let's start with Porsche's involvement. They have a unique problem amongst car manufacturers, which I'm not sure if it's a problem or something to be proud of, which is that around 75% of the cars that they've ever made are still on the road. So basically, if you have a Porsche, you either crash it or it's still driving. But there's not too many Porsches that get retired. And so, you know, they are conscious that the people who buy their cars want to have a carbon responsible solution to be able to keep driving them. And so that is what's made them, you know, looking for solutions that can allow them to have a solution for these historic drivers, as well as, you know, future combustion engines that are sold responsibly and with, you know, a very low carbon footprint. So that's what's motivating them. In terms of the model of having an off-taker also participating in the development and, you know, further stages, that's a classic model. We certainly didn't invent it. It's something that we see in energy projects, in LNG projects, and basically these e-fuel infrastructure projects are a combination of a renewable energy project plus like an LNG project. So we, in the way that we're developing this, are taking the lessons that we know. We have people who've been very deeply involved in the development of LNG projects, people who've been very deeply involved in the development of energy projects, and we're putting all of that knowledge together and using the business models and ideas and concepts that have been developed before and trying to give our own twist on them in the developments that we're doing.
Thank you for that. And for Denisse, there's another question. What is the current and near-term capacity regarding wind-produced electricity and availability to cover new demand? Do you think there's a space to continue growing in the implementation of wind energy projects?
Well, for example, for the current farm, the Vientos Patagonicos, we still have potential if we want to install 2 or 3 wind turbines more, even with more capacity, with 5.5, because the technology has improved. Nevertheless, regarding the stability of the electric system, in order to connect to that, to the electricity, we still need to wait a couple of years, 1 or 2 years, in order to check that stability. But we still have plenty of capacity to continue growing, maybe not for the electricity in the very short term, that means in the next year, but for all these green hydrogen projects or for any generation that you want to install that is not connected directly to the central system, there is still plenty of option. Probably in 1 year more, we will be sure about what is the extra capacity for the electricity system.
Thank you, Denisse. And we have another question, which I think is very interesting, and is about the challenges that Magallanes has in order to continue growing, no? And I want to make it a little bit broader than the question itself, which asks about infrastructure and storage services and logistics. But in general terms, Magallanes is still a very southern region of the world, not just of Chile. and so there are transportation costs that are challenging, and also services like the question is asking. So I guess a general question for the three of you would be, what are the shortcomings that you see of the region and the challenges that you are facing ahead in order to be successful in the endeavors that you are taking in Magallanes right now? Denisse, maybe you want to start.
Well, I think the logistic and infrastructure at the moment is not a problem. Maybe you think because the Magallanes is a southern region and the cost would be higher, but you have to consider that because it's the southern region, also we have an exemption for the VAT payment. That it means when you import some materials or any equipment, you will have these benefits. Then this is a very good option also for new projects and new investment in the area. Then at the end of the day, you can find maybe this possible extra cost because of the logistics if you want to bring something from outside, but also you will find this exemption for the payment of the VAT when you buy the stuff.
In our case, George, the distance is not a problem because first, let's speak about technology. So I just said we have this brand new fiber optic cable made by Huawei. So fiber optic cables, the data can travel at the speed of light. So there's no problem for data centers. And the second part of technology for space, we have one of the best space connections in the world, a lot better than Santiago. So we have no problem in technology. And regarding energy, I think in case of Clara's project and our project, I think more than 90% is going to be for export. So the thing of being in the Magellan Strait is a big upside. It's better to be in the Magellan Strait than in, for example, Valparaiso to export this energy to Asia or to North America. So in our case, everything is positive.
Yeah, I think that I would also share what Juan Luis has said, that there is a lot of positives to being located in Punta Arenas. There are a lot of high quality ports to be able to import all of the materials that we'll need for the construction. But I think that the opportunities that this presents kind of go beyond the individual things that we are looking at. And as you start to create one project, you have maybe 3 or 4 different companies closely linked to that project, which will spring up because there's services that are needed, there are things that need to happen, then those companies need another 5 companies to be able to work with them. And so I think that as this starts to roll, it'll be a snowball, and there'll be more and more services, more and more people needed to be able to provide all of the different, not only direct services that are involved in a particular project, but all of the things that are associated with that, and kind of go beyond that as these things start to grow. So I think that there will be hopefully a really flourishing business community in Punta Arenas. I know that all of the people in Punta Arenas are extremely flexible, very sharp with business, and I'm sure it won't take them very long at all to see the opportunities and to start moving in that direction. So I think that it's a very strong point to say, when we talk about a project, we don't only talk about the people who are employed in the project itself or the impact that project can have, but there is a huge ripple effect in the economy and in the community for all of the other potential services and kind of contributions that people can make beyond what that one particular project does. And here we're talking about lots of projects, so that effect will be even more pronounced.
Excellent. Well, we are on the scheduled time, so I want to thank everyone for participating, and particularly Clara, Denisse, and Juan Luis for taking the time to share with us what they are doing in Magallanes and providing a very fascinating description of what's going on in that region of our country, and the innovation that is driving the new economy down there. And hopefully we'll see many results from that ventures from those ventures, and taking the lead as an example all across the world. So without any more, thank you everyone again, and I hope you have a good afternoon. Bye.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Clara.
Thank you very
Bye.
much for
Thank
the
you so much.
invitation.
Thank you,
Bye.
George. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.